Hey guys, what is up? It is V. Welcome back to the farm. Today we are in my favorite place on the farm in the winter, the kitchen. I am cooking up a pork shoulder, which I'm pretty excited about. And it's a really big day on the farm. Today marks officially 2 years since we moved to the farm. So today I thought we would take a little look back at what we started with and all of the progress we've made and talk a little bit about what's to come. My name is Vanessa, and I'm growing a cut flower farm in Edgewood, Washington, Zone 8B. In 2017, I started growing cut flowers in my grandfather's garden to aid him in a romantic endeavor. And now, with the help of my partner, we're building a business and a community around the local flower movement in our little corner of the Pacific Northwest. Welcome to Pops. I don't know if you can see it in there, but we've got a little 2-pound pork shoulder all spiced up. We're gonna shred it up and have tacos. I'm pretty excited. Since our last video, the farm has pretty much been put to bed and we have been doing a lot of resting, a lot of recouping, sort of recovering from some burnout, if I'm being honest. But it's been really, really nice. I went ahead and put up some Christmas decorations, and I've just been spending a lot of time in the kitchen, which, like I said, is my happy place this time of year. So it's been really restful and really good. I hope your guys' holiday season is off to a really good start too. Before we get too far into the video, I just want to say welcome to all the new people. I am so glad you're here. I think a handful of you have found your way over from Roots and Refuge. We always get a few new followers whenever the monthly media post comes up in the Roots and Refuge Facebook group. So I'm so glad you're here. Welcome. And I've enjoyed getting to know you so far and watching some of your channels. I hope you guys will stick around and enjoy what we produce. For those of you that don't know, maybe you're new here, or maybe you've been watching for a while, but you didn't start our journey with us from the very beginning. We moved here in 2020. It was January 2020. Technically, our moving day was December 2019, but I always say January 2020 because it just kind of makes the math easier. And let's be honest, the first 3 weeks when you move somewhere are just kind of non-existent, right? Like they don't count. You're just trying to like live your life and get out of boxes, and you're not really doing any farming, let's put it that way. And when we moved here, it was just a house on 2 acres of land. There were no gardens, no landscaping. Well, there's still not a lot of landscaping, that's yet to come. But no gardens, no farm, no infrastructure, no flower studio, no nothing. And it's funny because part of me feels like we haven't really accomplished much since we got here, but I actually sat down and made a list of everything in preparation for this video. And when I look at it as a list, and when I read the list out loud, which I'm getting ready to do in a second, it actually sounds like a lot. Like a lot. The very first thing we did when we moved here, and I mean right away, was put in the very first of our raised beds in the vegetable garden. They are metal beds that I ordered and assembled myself. There's 11 of them in our infamous U shape for those of you that have been watching for a while. And I am so glad that was the first thing I did in retrospect. If you are moving to a new farm, if you are starting your homesteading journey or your flower farming journey, I cannot recommend that enough. Start with some raised beds if they're in your budget, and start growing some food. We have had a few months on the farm that have been tight. This month actually, honestly, is one of them. And having that little bit of food coming out of the vegetable garden this month and in those other tight months has been phenomenal. Once I got the vegetable garden going, it was time to start getting a place to grow flowers ready. So this would have been very, very early March. And I have some footage, so I'll go ahead and put it in here now. And you'll see that we really did start with just a big empty field of grass. Nothing had ever been cultivated here. And we started our first field a little different than we started our others. We went ahead and hired an excavator to come in and just scrape off the top layer of grass for us in a big 50-foot by 50-foot square, which soon became our field A. Now, I make it sound like it was an easy, quick process. It wasn't. Starting field A took us longer than any field we've ever started, because once that excavator got done, we still had to bring in all of our compost. It ended up being about 20 to 25 yards. I keep looking out the window because that's where the field is. So we brought in all that compost. Hopefully I have some clips to put in right here. And then the long task of spreading it all by hand began. It took us a couple weeks, if I'm being honest. And then we were able to move on to digging our pathways. And then eventually we were able to put down some wood chips. But the wood chips didn't come till a little later, and in the meantime we used black plastic, which I hated, and I'm so glad it is completely out of our lives. The other piece of infrastructure that we got up in our first year was our flower cooler. Now, our flower cooler is something we already had that we moved from our old home, and so we didn't have that cost, which was really, really nice in our first year. Like, you're gonna need some breaks in your first year, and that was ours, and I'm so grateful for it. The last piece of infrastructure that we set up in year one was our drip irrigation. Now, I had never really worked with drip irrigation before. It was something that super intimidated me, but thank goodness a farm husband kind of took on the challenge, and he's super smart, so it was no problem for him at all. He's since taught me how the system works, and in retrospect, I should not have been intimidated. So if you're feeling that way about drip irrigation, don't be intimidated by it. It's actually way easier than it seems, and well worth the investment. The only other thing we did in 2020 going into 2021 is we invested in some silage tarps, and that was probably one of the best investments we made early on when we got to the farm. The silage tarps we laid out and let cook the ground for quite a while, and we were able to use 2 tarps and create a whole nother field, which we affectionately call Field B. Now in 2021, we really stepped it up, and it was really, really cool in retrospect, just to see all the things that we accomplished when we really put our foot to the floor, the pedal to the floor, and just went for it. In February of 2021, we started with a really big project. It was really expensive, and it took a lot of time. It took about 6 weeks, and it didn't really have anything to do with growing flowers, but it did make a big difference as far as how the farm looks. And what we did is we had the exterior of the cabin and the shop and the little shed that would soon be our flower studio refinished. We took them from a really dark stain to a really light stain, and we think it just looks so much brighter and more welcoming. I started off the year by making just a tiny little farm stand, which ended up working really, really, really well for us. We debuted our new little farm stand on Father's Day with a Father's Day pop-up that was really, really popular. So we were stoked on that. And we got really good feedback from our customers. They love our little farm stand setup, particularly the giant umbrella. It seems to be a hit with customers of all ages. Come July and August, we were drowning in flowers. The dahlias were in full production, and I got a message from someone who was looking for a little bit of working with flowers, and we went for an interview, and it ended up being a perfect fit. Our biggest blessing of 2021 was finding our first employee. For those of you that have been watching for a while, you know I'm talking about Anna. She is our in-house designer, and she rocked it the rest of the year. I found that I did not have to make any bouquets or designs at all for the remainder of the year, with 1 or 2 small exceptions. And it really freed me up to start focusing more on farming, spending more time in the field, and more time managing the business, which felt amazing. Of course, before Anna could come work with us, we had to make a place for her to work. Now, before this, I was just making all of your guys' bouquets. Oh, well, I guess you're not all customers. I was making all of our bouquets in my kitchen, which is where I'm at now, literally working out of my kitchen sink, but that is not gonna work if you have an employee. So for those of you who have been watching for a while, you know that we opted to take our garden shed and turn it into a little floret-inspired flower studio. I will drop some clips in right now. We also made the choice to attend the Slow Flowers Summit, which was absolutely incredible. It was held in San Francisco at Filoli, which is a historic house with historic gardens, which is a huge part of why I wanted to go. I'm absolutely obsessed with Old English gardens, and Filoli has some really, really gorgeous examples. They are Victorian gardens, but they do pull on elements and design theory from earlier English gardens, like let's see, probably like 16th century and even some 17th century. So that was really, really cool. I came back from the Flow Flowers Summit feeling really, really inspired and regenerated and very self-accepting. If you go back and watch the Slow Flowers video, which I highly recommend, it's absolutely one of my favorites. You can hear me talk more about that. And then, of course, we did get on Deborah's list for the Slow Flowers podcast. Deborah visited the farm, which was absolutely incredible. I wish I had had more to show her, but I know she was very understanding of the fact that we are still super early in our journey, and I had just a blast that day. It was so fun to meet her, and I really hope that in a few years' time she can come back and see all the progress that we've made. As fall approached, it was time to start thinking about infrastructure yet again, and we went ahead and took our last $2,000 and ordered a Farmers Friend LLC high tunnel. It arrived right on time and we assembled it, and I could not be happier with the result. And of course, this changes absolutely everything for us moving forward. We are going to be using our tunnel as a prop house, as you guys know if you've been watching the channel. And I think in the spring, it's really going to shine. It's already been amazing this fall because we had a dry place to divide our dahlia tubers and plant our tulips and our ranunculus and all that good stuff. But in the spring, when we get into seed starting for our 1/4 acre plot, yeah, that high tunnel is gonna make all of its money back right away. I know it is. It's gonna be so nice. So that's it. That's everything we accomplished and built over the last 2 years of being here. It really has been a surreal experience, and while it's gone really, really well, there are definitely some things I would change, or that I'm going to change rather, and I'm going to save those for another video. If you have made it to the end of this video, congratulations. I know it was a long one, but 2 years, I mean, it's hard to sum up 2 years in a small amount of time, especially when you look at the list of things we did. Like, we've actually accomplished so much. It's feeling really, really good. And I think all that's left to talk about in this video is a little bit of what's to come. I wanted to wait until it got dark to talk to you a little bit about the big exciting news for 2022, because the house is just so magical with the Christmas lights. So our big news is that we are changing the way we are selling flowers in 2022, and I'm excited about it because it's going to free me up to have more time to do the things that I love to do, which is the farming and spending more time in the kitchen and doing some of the homestead stuff that I imagined I do when I moved here, but haven't had the time to do whatsoever. And that's exciting for you guys because it also means it's going to free me up to make a lot more content. And that is my intention for 2022 and moving forward, is to really focus on YouTube content creation. Also, you guys are going to get the opportunity to support us through Patreon. Now, I'm still setting everything up, but I'll be sure to let you know when that goes live. So thank you so much for following us and supporting us in our journey. I can't wait to start seeing more of you in the new year.